so I knew that I was going to be leaving school, to go shoot. And the last day, I think, before like my last day of being in regular school, they threw like a little party for me, like, blah, blah, blah. And I distinctly recall pulling out a guitar and like badly playing a song because, I was 5. I couldn't really play, but I tried to play. And that's definitely, that's how I know that like I was playing guitar that early, because I remember like playing guitar for my kindergarten class right before I left school to go shoot Out of the Box.
Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of The Box Cutter, where we take apart an episode of Disney's Out of the Box and see if it still holds up. My name is Daniel, and my co-host for today, one of the original cast members from season 1, DJ, music producer, the Brandon Zemel. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So, how did you first start off acting?
So my first foray into acting was, obviously at a very young age, because I was already pretty young by the time I hit Out of the Box. But I had done a couple of things before that as well. Although I have to be honest, it was so long ago and I was so young that I'm not entirely sure what the timeline was. But the general gist of it is that my mom was basically like, you should try acting. And she would drive me into New York constantly for all these auditions. We lived in Jersey. And she would take me into the city all the time to go on these auditions. And auditions are, 99.999% of them you don't get. And I auditioned for all kinds of things that would have like been crazy if I had got them. Like I auditioned for the part of Boots the Monkey on Dora the Explorer. I auditioned for Gavroche and Les Mis on Broadway. And I auditioned for, a bunch of stuff. I can't even remember everything. But I did some commercials as well. I did a commercial for Kick Cereal, Carvel Ice Cream. I'm trying to think what else I did. I did some stage stuff as well around that time. I did a local production of Christmas Carol, a couple other like small things.
Weren't you on a few episodes of Sesame Street too?
Yes, Sesame Street. How could I forget? Yeah, I was on Sesame Street as well. And if I recall correctly, Sesame Street, I think I'm messing it up. I was going to say, I felt like Sesame Street might have been in the same studio complex as Out of the Box, but was it?
Yeah, it was. It was Kaufman Astoria.
Yeah, Kaufman Astoria. Yeah. Man, you try getting a 5 or 6 year old or however old I was to wake up that early and go to Queens. It was interesting, I'll tell you that.
So you were kind of just put into that situation of, you should try acting. Let's give it a go.
Like it was very clear that like I was into music. It was very clear that I wanted to be a performer of some sort. And I guess acting, made sense for my mom to kind of have me give it a go, because I was already doing music. So the flip side of performance is acting. And it was, it went well. The biggest problem was like my age and the fact that like I didn't understand the gravity of the requirements, I guess you could say. Like I hated learning lines. I hated going through scripts and having to practice and practice and practice. I still hate practicing anything to this day. It's like when it's like so like repetitive like that, I just hate it. But I really hated it as a 5-year-old. And I don't know, your listeners, if any of you guys have kids who have been 5 years old, you probably know that they don't always listen when you tell them to do important things. And I was definitely one of those kids that didn't like to listen. So
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting. I got to give my mom a lot of credit for putting up with me through all that, even though it was her idea.
Coming from a Spanish speaking family, Spanish was actually my first language. My parents actually thought I was mute at first because I didn't talk till like I was 3.
Oh
And
wow.
it was like a blackout. And I was just telling my mom in Spanish, I'm right here. I'm right here. Oddly enough, I wasn't in the Spanish speaking kindergarten class. I was in the English speaking kindergarten class. I just remember my mom would just sit me down every day after school, and she'd have like a list of words like at the top, and she'd like, okay, you have to write from here to here at the bottom. So I totally get like, I don't want to do this. I don't.
Yeah.
It stinks. It's boring. It's like
Now add the pressure of not just having your mom tell it to you, but a bunch of producers and directors and like adults that you don't know, and like and you're being told to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like it's rough. Like people definitely had it rougher, and like at the end of the day, looking back on it, I'm glad I did it. But like it was rough at the time.
So you did music first. What was your first experiences getting into music?
So my experience getting into music was kind of like just super natural. Like, I mean, pretty much as far back as I can remember. Like, I wanted to sit down at the piano and just bang on the keys. Like that was all I wanted to do. I picked up guitar pretty early as well. In fact, I distinctly recall this is probably one of my earliest memories of as a child. Actually, I distinctly recall when I got hired for Out of the Box. Obviously that meant I was no longer in school, because they tutored all the kids at the studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the way I'll digress for a moment. The way the setup worked for a shooting day was you had the 2 groups of 3 kids each. So me, Jill, Alicia, for the life of me, I can't remember the other 3 kids' names right now. Those are definitely the 2 I was closest with.
I see.
And so you'd have 2 episodes would shoot in a day. In the morning, you'd have, let's say, Group A shoot 1 episode while Group B was in tutoring. And then in the afternoon, you would switch, and Group B would go to shoot, and Group A would go to tutoring. So the school would like send all the materials over to the tutors at the studio. So you'd be learning the same things that your counterparts in your normal school were learning, but you'd be getting taught them by a tutor, because we were literally at the studio from about 7 o'clock in the morning until like 6 o'clock at night. So there was no time to go to school.
And so after filming Out of the Box, how was your experience when you got back to just regular school?
I think everything just kind of went back to normal. Like, I don't remember anyone really like being a fangirl or a fanboy over me. In fact, like I really didn't have a lot of friends as a kid. And that stayed pretty consistent all the way up through, up until high school. It's when I really started becoming like social. And so like it wasn't like, oh my God, like he was on TV. That's so cool. In fact, I always kind of got the feeling that nobody watched the damn show. Like that's like, well, that's why like when I heard from you, I was surprised, because I was like, there's people that actually like give a shit. Like I had no idea. But yeah, I mean, I think things just kind of went back to normal. And I don't really recall anything like,
Like no one would
super
ever
changing.
make fun of you, or like no one really cared or anything?
Not for that anyway.
Oh.
Like people found, kids are mean. I mean, they definitely found other things to make fun of, but no, not really for that. At least not that I recall. My memory sucks, but yeah, not really that I remember.
At first, I thought you were 6 when you started filming, but saying that you're 5,
it could be 5 or 6. It's somewhere.
I'm just like, I'm
there.
even more impressed that you're like keeping up with these like 7 and 8-year-olds on this TV show.
That was the thing. I was the youngest kid, like by 3 years. I think I was in kindergarten, and I think Jill was the second youngest. I think.
Oh, really?
And she was second grade. I think. Don't quote me on this.
Again, I thought Alicia and Nick were the second youngest.
Maybe it might have been Alicia. I know it was one of the girls. think one of I like I said, don't quote
me. It's
on
okay.
This. But somebody was in second grade, whoever
Mm-hmm.
that somebody was. So that was the age gap, and then everybody else was second grade or third grade, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the producers, I mean, they realized pretty quick that they screwed up by having somebody, as young as I was, just because it was. I mean, 3 years at that age is a huge maturity difference. Huge maturity difference. Huge intellectual difference. I mean, you can say things to a second grader that you can never say to a kindergartner and expect them to understand.
Right.
So there was just a lot of like conflict and like struggle there. As much on my side as on the show's side, because they had to figure out how to deal with this. And eventually they figured it out. But
well, I knew, because at first, when I first saw the show, and I've said it in a few episodes, and I mentioned it to you, I was ugly crying because it hit like a part of me that hasn't been touched in like years. And when I was watching it again and I saw you, I was like, who is this kid? Like, in all honesty, I'm not even gonna lie, I'm just like, you were not one of my favorites. And then for some reason, you just started to grow on me. Like, I was just like, damn it, Brandon, I love you. I love this kid.
And then they kicked me off the show.
I know,
unbelievable.
But and I know why. I know why.
Well, I know why too.
No, I'm saying I know why I was like, who is this kid? Because I was a lot like you. What I saw on the show, I was very much like you. And where I grew up, it wasn't like something natural to see a kid behave like that. Like, so goofy and like just carefree and whatever. And it was like I'd always like kind of be pushed into things of like, because I come from a very Hispanic city, and it's like, you have to like this, and you have to behave like this, and you have to do that and that and that. And so it was beaten into me that I have to be a certain way, that seeing you be like that, it just brought back this thing of, I guess, resentment, because I used to be like that, and I'm just like self-criticizing myself of like, go away, kid. Why? Like, but then I'm just like, I was that kid. What am I saying? I was that kid. I can't believe I was, resenting that, who I was. And like through this podcast, I was slowly just unpeeling these layers that I felt like I've never had the opportunity to talk about. But this podcast was, I guess, kind of like a hidden blessing in a sense, with this whole quarantine thing happening and all that stuff. I feel this podcast has definitely helped me to just be more open and honest, and not necessarily try and be something that I wasn't. And so you went from being one of my least favorites to one of my just like, I'm just like, I love this kid. So
well, glad I made that transition.
So I appreciate you being you, for me to realize I was that kid, and I should really just love myself, just as much as you seem to love yourself in at that age.
Absolutely. I do wish I had perhaps not been quite as difficult as I was, but 20 years ago, what are you going to do?
Right.
more than 20 years ago.
I feel though you kind of got the short end, because I feel like, yeah, you were younger, but I felt like there was potential there, because at 5 or 6, being the youngest, there has to be something there. Where if you got like a bunch of 7, 8-year-olds, and you got this like 5-year-old, there's some untapped potential that could be like honed in.
It's possible. I a little bit like and I mean, this is really the only, like, I guess you could call it resentment, but it's not really. But I'll call it resentment just because I don't know what other word to use. I guess the only resentment that I feel like towards like everything that happened after. So basically, what happened after, like maybe a year or two later, around second grade, I got braces, and somehow my mom interpreted braces as nobody in the film industry wants to hire a kid with braces. Let's stop taking you on auditions until the braces come off. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. There's tons of kids in TV shows with braces, but like at that age, like what was I gonna do about it?
Right. I mean, second grade is like a 7-year-old, 6, 7-year-old. That's pretty young to get braces.
Yeah, I had braces pretty early. It might have been third grade, but I know it was definitely in elementary school. And so I stopped going on auditions, quote unquote, temporarily, and that temporary became permanently. We just never picked it back up. I do sometimes wonder what would have happened if I had like stuck with it and like really like kept going. But if I had done that, who knows? I could be a very successful actor, or I could not be. Either way, I probably wouldn't have the music industry experience that I now have.
Right.
Because my life probably would have gone on a very, very different path. I wouldn't know the people that I know, and the people that I know are what brought me to where I am. So
right. I mean, you seem like just such a great person that everyone just wants to hang around. Yeah, so I feel that they kept Alicia and they kept Nicholas around for all 3 seasons, but I feel that you could have been given another season because I feel like you had that presence, you had that energy, you had that like that look at me type of like all eyes on you type of vibe.
yeah, it was. I mean, I listen. It would have been nice to have a second or third season. I mean, even just to finish the first season, because I didn't even get through all of season 1. I got through
really?
I got through I think I got through like 3/4. I think. But I mean, here's the timeline of what happened. So we shot a whole bunch of season 1, and then we had to shoot the intro. So we took a few days off from the studio to go actually shoot the intro. We went to some house somewhere in the backyard to shoot like the crawling in and out of boxes and like the building the thing, everything that happened outside. And so we shot that, and when we got home that night, we had a voicemail from the producers saying, "Hey, Brandon doesn't need to be at the studio tomorrow," and that was it.
How did you feel when you heard that?
I mean, at that point, like at that age, and with how much frustration it had been, I was like, "Great, like whatever, fine." Looking back, it would have been nice to keep going, but again, I think things. My belief in the world is that things tend to work out the way they're supposed to, and they generally work out for the better.
Right.
So I'm not gonna spend too much time thinking about it and wishing it was different, because
it's okay.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't change anything. It was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I am grateful for the experience, though. It was it provided it definitely provides some interesting talking points. When people are like, "What's something that no one knows about you?"
That's why that's interesting then. So you they did the opening first, the outside shot, and then when they go inside, they shot that after. That's really
other way around. So we'd shot like a whole bunch of the season, like probably 6 episodes.
No,
7 episodes.
I mean like they shot the intro sequence from the inside, because and the promo, you weren't in the promo either.
Right.
So I was like, what? Why? I was like, did he replace somebody or did he get replaced? Or so that makes sense. Oh, God.
I got replaced by, I cannot remember the kid's name.
His name is Matthew Leone.
There you go.
He's an actor, independent filmmaker, and a hairdresser now.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. He has his own. He just opened up his own place in New York.
Oh, so he's still around.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have $60 and 30 minutes to spare, you can always go down to Maddie's.
Oh, my my studio's in New York, so I may just have a reason to.
Hey, you're the guy that replaced me.
Yeah, remember me, motherfucker? Yeah.
So, big question though.
Yeah, hit me.
How was your experience interacting with Tony and Vivian?
Oh man. So first of all, rewatching the episode last night, I did not realize how goddamn tall Tony is. I mean, Jesus, that dude is tall. Like obviously he's tall when you look at him next to the kids, but when you look at him next to Vivian, I was like, he's like double her height. Like, that's crazy. I had no idea, like no concept back then of how tall he was. I mean, that dude's got to be like 6.5 feet. Crazy. Mm-hmm. Either that or Vivian's just super short.
I think it's the other way around. I think it's Vivian that's super short. He's like 5'11".
Entirely possible. Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, she's got to be super short then. Because like,
I mean, I'm 5'3", so
yeah, and I'm what 5'8", 5'9" on a good day. Like,
so.
But yeah, my experience with them was great. I loved them. I had a childhood crush on Vivian.
I could tell because you would always stare at her.
That was well. Yep, I caught that in the episode when I watched it last night. I definitely caught that. I was like, wow, I could not have been more obvious.
I was like, why is he staring at her so much? But who wouldn't have a crush on Vivian? She
was great.
She was very pretty. She still is pretty. She's got a great energy.
She was like one of the nicest people in the world. Like her like level of like niceness on screen is pretty much the same off as far as I remember. Yeah, I mean Tony was cool. Tony I always liked because I wanted to play drums at that point because again the music thing. But I hadn't really started yet, and Tony was a drummer. I mean he had done Stomp, I think. And he was always like the guy like banging on stuff on set and making beats. So I was like, oh, like this guy's cool. But yeah, they were great.
I remember reading the article that said you were on a Kicks commercial, that you did a Carvel's commercial, you did a few episodes of Sesame Street, and then 7 episodes of Out of the Box. But what's odd is that on Disney Plus, I only see you in 5 episodes. Do you have any recollection of the other 2 at all? Because there are 3 episodes in season 1 that just, I don't know. They're lost, technically. They exist. There's proof of them existing, but they're lost. They're lost media.
I have no idea. As I was scrolling through on Disney Plus last night, like to go watch Sticky Icky, I was like going through like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh yeah, that existed. Oh yeah, that was a thing. Like that. Prior to that, I have no like recollection of what these episodes were. If someone ever found them and was like, "Would this be one of yours?" It might like jog my memory, but I definitely couldn't come up with it off the top of my head.
I'll find them one day. I will be the one that finds them one day.
When you do, let me know.
I will. I definitely will. But was there? So you say that you got along with Jill and Alicia. Was there anyone that just didn't gel with you, or like that, or any other like anyone else that you hung out with?
Not really that I recall. I don't know. I don't really have a super strong memory of like really hanging out with anybody. I mean between Jill and Alicia, Jill was the one that I connected with better. I remember she this had to be several years after Out of the Box. She played young Cosette in Les Mis on Broadway. And I remember she got us tickets to that, brought us backstage afterwards. So that was cool.
That's nice.
And that was the only time that I saw her since the season 1 cast party. Because they did invite me to the cast party. They fired me 3/4 of the way through the season. But they did invite me to the cast party like 4 or 5 months later.
I bet you Tony and Vivian were like, oh, let's invite Brandon,
I have no idea. Somebody felt obligated, I guess. So we did that. So that was cool to see everybody. And then I never saw any of them again except for Jill at Les Miserables. Yeah, and I thought it was interesting too because I had gone out for the role of Gavroche at one point, and then she ended up doing Young Cosette.
How the universe works.
Yep, small world.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I get everything right and the planets align, and I tie my shoes the right way, I might be able to get everyone together for season 1. I don't know. That's a crazy tall order for me.
That's a very tall order.
I've done crazier things. I've done crazier things.
Spread out, right?
Y'all are still on most of you are still on the East Coast.
I think I have Jill on Facebook still, but that's I haven't talked to her in who knows how long.
You should. You should just be like, hey, what's up? I did a podcast about Out of the Box.
I just might, just for the hell of it.
Because why not? I mean, sometimes I just literally will just call somebody and just be like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a good second. How are you?
Yeah.
Pick up where you left off.
Haven't seen you in 20 years. This isn't weird or anything. We can we can chat. I mean the only thing I really know about anyone else as far as what they did afterwards was that Alicia did School of Rock.
She did do School of Rock.
Which admittedly was cool when I realized that was her because I didn't the first time I saw it. And that was I loved that movie when I was a kid. And I didn't realize that was her. And then it wasn't until I saw the credits. It was her either. It wasn't until I saw the credits that I was like, wait a second. Is that the same Alicia?
Yep. And she did Are We There Yet? She did Are We There Yet with Ice Cube.
Yep.
I almost said Ice
I think that was the
I don't know why.
I think that was the last thing that I heard about that she did. So I have no idea.
She is
she's still in the industry.
She's I think she does stuff with like speech there. Like she works at a hospital because she's always like posting pictures of her in like her white doctor coat.
Oh,
so,
cool.
She's living her life and all that. Besides your experience on Out of the Box, what else did you like? What were your interests like?
I would say that music were my interests. I was a very I was never into sports. I hated sports. There were a couple that my mom like made me try. I played soccer for like a season or two. I played lacrosse for like a season or two as I got into like middle school. But sports were never my thing. I was never any good at them. I don't like watching them. I still don't like watching them. Like I can get behind some hockey. I can deal with soccer, or other way around. I can get behind soccer and I can deal with hockey. But like football, basketball, like baseball, I feel
so bad now because I feel so bad telling you how you were my least favorite because I'm just like we are so similar.
Listen, it's all good.
Not like scary similar, but like really similar of like, we both like performing. We don't like sports. Well, I did karate for like
I did karate as well.
For like 5 years.
Forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. Yes.
I wasn't the most popular kid. and yeah, I was so I'm just like it makes more sense now why I was like, what this kid? And I was like, oh, this kid's great.
Yeah, no, I was all music back then as far as my interests. All music. Piano and guitar were the main two. Around like third grade, I picked up drums. And I was self-taught in everything except piano. Piano, I took lessons for a bunch of years, classically trained, jazz trained. But aside from that, guitar was entirely self-taught. These days, like I sing, I play bass, I produce music, all that stuff is self-taught.
Speaking of music, congrats on your latest release.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's been a crazy year.
And you got signed to a new contract by Dharma, correct?
Yeah, so I have two music projects. So talking about my music life is a little bit confusing because I do so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one project called 2DB, which is me and my partner Danny doing kind of like commercial, like EDM,
Mm-hmm.
like Calvin Harris and Zed, and like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that yeah, we just signed a record to Dharma, which is Kashmir's label,
Mm-hmm.
an imprint on Spinnin', great label. We've had a good time working with them so far. We're excited for the release next year. Um, and then we've done a couple other records. We've done stuff with Strange Fruits. We've done remixes for all the major labels. We've done stuff for like Republic and Capitol, Atlantic. I've done remixes for Macklemore and Katy Perry and Noah Cyrus. We did like 3 remixes for her. Her label really likes us. We've done stuff for a lot of people. We've had records on the radio, all that kind of stuff. And then I have a solo project called 10 Steps, which is trance music. And that I just kind of do on my own. And I have a couple of labels that I work with, one in particular run by Andrew Rael, who's a really, really big trance DJ. I would argue probably one of the top 5 biggest trance DJs in the world right now. Yeah, and so I just dropped a new 10 Steps record this past Friday. Yesterday, right? Today's Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday.
You're so busy, you
Dropped
forget
a
what
new
day of the
record.
week it is.
It's been nuts. Listen, on a good day, I forget things, but like with quarantine, I cannot keep track what day of the week it is. Ever since COVID started, I can't keep track of what day of the week it is at all. The only thing that's given me some semblance of like structure of the days of the week now is that Monday through Friday I'm in Manhattan, which I wasn't previously up until September. But yeah, so I have those 2 projects. And then aside from that, as of September, which is the reason I go into the city now, I started doing music production for TV. So slowly working my way back onto the TV, and film world, but in a different capacity, not so much as an actor. Now doing a bunch of music development and stuff. So I've done things for WWE. There's some upcoming cool stuff that I can't talk about, but yeah.
Do you feel, because we live in this age now where revamps are like so in trend, do you feel that Out of the Box would like people would kind of try and get their hands on it to remake?
That's a tough question for me to answer because, like I said, I had no idea that this show even still had a fan base. So like it completely never even occurred to me that this show would end up on Disney Plus. Like when
it
they
didn't
announced
occur
it,
to me either.
When they announced it, like that Disney Plus is going to be a thing, like the first place my head went was, cool, we're getting Star Wars. Like my head did not go to, whoa, I wonder if Out of the Box is going to be on there. So I don't know, because I think, put it this way, Disney, I think, has their hands full. And there are properties that they have, and there's IP that they have that is probably a hell of a lot more valuable than Out of the Box. And it's probably worth investing in those, rather than Out of the Box. That's just my own thought.
Right. I would
be surprised.
I only bring it up because, Blue's Clues got a revamp.
Did it?
Yeah, it got a revamp. So I was like, if they can do that with Blue's Clues, like this.
Yeah, Blue's Clues was like a cultural phenomenon, though. Out of the Box never hit that level. I mean, Blue's Clues, like, if you saw the guy in the blue striped shirt and the blue dog, like, you know who it was. Out of the Box
Tony
didn't have
and
anything
Vivian.
like that.
Tony and Vivian, they're like I don't know, with another iconic duo. I'm very culturally inept, so I don't know.
So
Jesse
just reminded me of the Kardashian meme. Name a more iconic duo.
Jesse, I don't know, Jesse and James from Pokemon. Tony and Vivian.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I guess they're the flip side. Tony and Vivian are the good side, and then yeah.
As
a
much as
Pokemon
I
one.
would love to keep talking and talking and talking, we have a lightning round of an episode to talk about. So the episode we're talking about today is Sticky Icky. So Sticky Icky, one of the best of season one, just because it's like, it just hits you so smoothly and so quickly, like bam, music, bam, arts and crafts, bam, story time, time to go. It was just smooth from the beginning to the end. So for me, it's like one of my favorite, and I think one of the best episodes that they've made of Out of the
Well,
Box.
it was funny. I told you before we started the interview, it wasn't nearly as cringy as I thought it would be. And that's probably the best like praise that I have, because I was expecting to sit down and watch it for the first time in 20 years and be like, oh my god, what the hell was I doing? Like, but it wasn't like that. Honestly, I could see it still standing up to like kids these days. There was nothing that had like it put it this way, it aged well, I think.
Oh yeah. So, the episode starts with Vivian and she's painting this chair, spending the whole morning painting a chair, which is like it's not hard to believe. I mean, my mom, she likes to repaint and restore old furniture. That's like one of her hobbies. And she'll like spend an afternoon just like painting a chair and like putting details on it. So she's like, painting it and she's like, this paint's so sticky. And then you and Alicia and Jill come in and run around her playing tag. And while you guys are like running around, she grabs you and like practically pulls you to the chair. It's like, oh, careful, Brandon. You almost got, you almost touched my chair. It's, I don't know, filled with wet paint. And I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was kind of like, you don't act like as if you saved his life. You practically pulled him into that like wet paint.
There were a couple of moments like that, it jogged my memory from the filming. The part where towards the end when Vivian becomes the spider,
Mm-hmm.
I remember like that being such a thing when we were shooting, trying to get it to look somewhat believable that like I was quote unquote like caught in the web.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another episode too. I don't know why I remember this.
Mm-hmm.
There was another episode where I was trying to like, I was supposed to be like me trying to catch one of the other kids. I think it was maybe Alicia and somebody else. Like I was standing and they were like in front of me. They were trying to run past me, and the idea was I was supposed to try to catch them, but miss. And every time we shot it, I caught them. And the directors were like, no, you're supposed to only try and catch them, not actually catch them. They're supposed to get past you. And I remember I was just like, right, but I can't make that look believable because they're not running fast. Like, I don't know why I remember that, but that jogged my memory of that as well.
You mentioned
Anyway, I
that, and
digress.
You mentioned that, and I don't remember seeing that in any of the episode that you were
Perhaps that's
in.
one of the lost
Perhaps that
episodes then.
was, yeah. So I'm just like, I don't remember this.
Write
Oh,
that down in your notes. One day
I'll
you shall
keep it in
find
my
it.
recording. But so yeah, so Vivian's practically like pulling at you. It's like, oh, careful, Brandon. You almost got on my chair, practically pulling you to the chair to get wet paint on you. So, then Jill gets the idea of let's play Sticky Icky tag. And she's like, I tag you and you stick on me. And it's cute. It's a cute little scene. And so she tags Alicia, and then they're stuck together. And then you're just like, bet you can't catch me. And you just stand there. You're just standing there. I know. I don't know. I guess I got a lot of, complaining to do the director, because some scenes are really well shot and some scenes it's like, why aren't you running? You have time to run.
Well, listen, to be fair, again, I didn't listen all that well. So for all I know, they could have told me to run and I just didn't do it. So who knows?
Did they provide wardrobe for you, or did they just tell you to show
Yes.
them what? Oh, they did.
Yeah.
So, because I was like, wow, these kids look like they just came off the playground, off the street, like the way that you guys
That's
are dressed.
all. Yeah, that's all. In fact, that was one of the things that I commented to myself last night when I watched it. Was like, damn, like everything they gave us to wear is baggy as hell. Like,
For you, it was pretty baggy.
was that just a '90s thing?
Yeah, it was a pretty
I noticed
90s thing.
On Jill, like the overalls.
Yeah, the
were, like,
overalls were super,
huge.
super huge. But like, there are other episodes where you're wearing like pretty baggy things. I'm like, I don't know. It made your like, it was weird.
Yeah, I have no recollection of that, but when I was watching last night, I was like, what the hell were they doing? Like,
And they gave you Timberlands.
did they?
Did
I
you
didn't
see?
even notice. That's so funny.
So I was like, oh, I guess this is how he dresses, because like, you know, he's from New Jersey, and I guess this is how they dress in New Jersey.
Nope. At least not these days. Oh man, no, these days I'm wear skinny jeans and black V-necks and bomber jackets.
So you just stood there and they tagged you, and then you guys are stuck together. So Vivian tries to get you guys unstuck by, you know, reciting some magic words, and you guys get unstuck, and then you go over to the loft, the playground loft, and Alicia is saying, you know, she knows this rhyming game. So it's like 2 sticky taffy in the candy store. Along came Alicia to buy some more. They gave her a penny. I don't remember. That's as far as I remember.
It seems like you remember.
I don't remember the rest of it. So, but while Jill and Alicia are playing, you're staring at Vivian, and I was like, oh, that's so cute.
I did notice that last night. I did notice that. I was that was where I cringed. That was the part that was cringing for me, because I was like, oh, so
when Vivian joins them, rather than you singing along with everybody, you're still staring at her, just like, oh, she's so beautiful. But she is beautiful, you know. She's very caring. She's very, you know, high energy. I had a crush on her too, so
I
totally get that.
Every kid who watched that show,
every boy probably had a crush on Vivian. So yeah, I mean, it's forgivable. She's beautiful. She's very nice. She's got that friendly energy that, you know, little kids just like gravitate towards. So yeah, so after you guys, you know, play your rhyming game, Vivian gets the idea of having you guys do an arts and crafts.
It's arts and crafts time.
So the arts and craft is sticky paper, and you guys are sticking stuff to it. And when Vivian's like, you know, peeling it off, I see you looking at the ground. I guess you're trying to find your marker or something.
Because
I was like, why is he staring at the ground? So I don't know. I
also, keep in mind, I also had ADD.
Oh, you did?
So yeah. I still very much do. Yeah, I do not look in one place for very long. I'm constantly like shifting my eyes and not looking where I'm supposed to.
But then again, little kids look at the ground all the they look at the ground. They don't look where they're going.
Yeah. So, if anything, my performance was authentic.
It was. That's why I was like. That's why I was like, I love this.
Authentically me.
That's why I'm like, I love this kid. So yeah, so you guys are, you know, touching the sticky paper, and then you start sticking stuff on there, like blocks and like feathers and pieces of paper, and you make this like face of Mrs. Sticky Face. And when you're finishing up that, Tony finally comes into the episode with this gum on his shoe. And, you know, like hell, gum comes off your shoe like so easily. He just got it off in like one swoop, like
yeah.
I'm like hell, they come off like that. They'd like string out, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So while he's taking it off, he takes the seat on Vivian's wet chair. So, you know, he gets stuck on there. And then you guys finally notice that. And you go over, Vivian grabs her chair. No disregard to the wet paint. And you guys hold on to Tony, and you guys pull, and you get him off. And he ends up with paint on his shirt and his pants.
Yep.
So, if that was me, because I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. So, some days I've had a pen explode in my pocket, and it ruined a pair of my favorite shorts. I've had to clean up vomit. So if I ended up with gum on my shoe and then I sit down and it like paint on me, I'd be like, ugh.
At that point, I'd be like, you know what, today is not for me.
I would like be like, you know what, Vivian, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I gotta go.
Yep, I'm going to bed. Clearly, nature does not want this day to have me in it, so I'm gonna go to bed.
Right. So I'm just like, good on you, Tony. Because I would have just been like, fuck.
Yep.
But so yeah, so you say, what other things are sticky?
It's music time.
So the song that you guys sing is Sticky Icky. And
also, can we just talk about the amount of innuendo that could be in this episode?
Yes, we can.
Like, my lord, there were so many times watching this thing where I was just like, oh, thank God this wasn't targeted at like middle schoolers, because like they'd get it a little bit.
They would. They very much would.
When Vivian said, "I have a sticky surprise," I went, "Oh my God!"
And then you get a shot of Miss Sticky Face, the money shot.
Miss Sticky Face. Yep. So much innuendo there. It's like SpongeBob.
Right.
Whereas like when you rewatch it as an adult, you're like, oh my Lord, I can't believe
right.
Let me watch this.
Right. So yeah, so Sticky Icky. How would you describe the music? Like, what kind of genre would you describe that song as?
Oh, I don't know, just kids music.
Because
it's like, interesting though. Because I'll give you some insight into the music. All those times that they're singing in the episode are never actually they're never actually sung on the set.
Oh, you guys didn't sing?
Everything. So it was us, but it wasn't us singing on set. All the music was recorded in a studio previous to shooting the episode. So it's all lip sync, similar to the way that they do like musical movies now, or movie musicals now.
That's interesting.
Except for I think Les Mis, where they did everything live. But
I thought they had you guys singing without the music just to match up with the track.
Nope. So they played. They would play the track with our singing that we'd recorded in the studio. They played over the speakers on set, and then we would lip sync to that.
Right, and you had a chocolate in your pocket. You forgot to eat.
I did have a chocolate in my pocket.
Another innuendo.
Chocolate right now. I wish I had chocolate right now.
Dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate.
I'm a big milk chocolate guy. White chocolate, I got to be in the mood for. Dark chocolate's normally too heavy for me.
I see.
I'm not like a huge chocolate guy. I mean, no matter what kind of chocolate, it's very heavy.
Chocolate's pretty one note.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I got to be in the mood for it.
Right.
I don't mind the chocolate flavor. Like, I'll eat Oreos fucking all day. But like, or even like chocolate ice cream is fine. But like, just like a bar of chocolate, like you'll never just see me like with a Hershey bar.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
But yeah, another innuendo: chocolate in your pocket. So it's a song that's describing all sorts of sticky things like stamps and gum, and it was kind of gross that Jill and Tony were pulling at the same gum that he got off his shoe. I found it really disgusting.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if it was putty. I don't know if it was gum.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, I'm sure it was like sticky tack or putty, something like that.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's a little more hardy than a gum would be.
Yeah.
And then you guys do this really cool like dance where it's like practically like a Macarena type of situation.
That's what I thought. When I watched it, I was like, isn't that the Macarena? I'm pretty sure we stole that from the Macarena.
But it's so good. I love it. I sometimes I just catch myself. I'm just like, I don't know. When I'm editing or something, I sing to myself these songs when I'm editing my episodes. I'm just like, sometimes I just catch myself just doing it. I'm like, what am I doing?
That's funny.
So yeah. So once you guys finish, it just goes into like it's like you just finish and then you start talking about. Well, Vivian start talking about. Well, let's see what other sticky stuff we can find.
It's arts and crafts time.
You go into the arts and crafts like super quick after that. So the arts and craft is sticky capes. So you get like felt, and you get glue, and you stick stuff on yourself. So you decide to be a snowman. How did they just tell you guys, just do whatever, or like?
No, it was very scripted.
Oh.
It was, yeah. There's really nothing left up to like. First of all, like, listen, if you're working with adults, there's a certain degree of like, all right, you could improv this a little bit if you wanted to. When you're working with kids, you can't do that. Because we go off on a whole fucking tangent that's so unrelated to the episode and doesn't, provide a way forward to the story. That's all scripted.
I'm pretty sure you'd be like, I'm making a snowman. And one time I made a snowman with my mom and dad, and then I could imagine that.
It would get into a whole thing, yeah. So it's all very scripted.
But damn, you guys are so good, because I would have never guessed of how I thought like they'd let you like ramble just a bit and then they'd like cut it. But oh god, but
plus like those kind of shows, I mean, they're all shows, but especially like those kind of short episode, like the short kid shows and stuff, like every second counts, because they got 22 minutes. That's it.
Right.
Not a second over, not a second under. Like you gotta edit it to 22 minutes. You don't have time for any of that kind of shit. Like you gotta deal with your commercial breaks, start time, end time. Like especially back then, I'm assuming the technology that we have today in the broadcast industry wasn't there.
Right.
So I'm sure things had to be much like tighter, because there was no like room for like, software and whatever to, retime shit if you were off by a minute.
So yeah, I mean, I like this craft, but finding felt is just a difficult part. It's like you probably have to go to like Joann's or something to get felt, and but yeah, I mean, it's a really cute craft. It might get a little messy though with like the glue and stuff, but glue sticks exist. So yeah. So once you guys finish that, bam, right into the next thing.
It's music time.
You go on a sticky safari, and I like
innuendo.
Yep, you guys go on a sticky safari, stranger danger, and and so I like this one because I love this one too because it's got like this very like township jazz type of African type of jazzy music behind it, and it kind of reminds me of this one song that's called "Looking for Dracula." I don't know if you ever heard it.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Where it's like, you're looking for Dracula, and then like you stop at like this spooky swamp. Can't go over it, can't go under it, can't go around it. Okay, let's put on our big rubber boots. And so it kind of reminded me of that song, but instead of that, you guys went through some puddles or buckets of glue, some marshmallow muck.
Which if you noticed when we were doing the buckets, I picked up on this. So the idea was that you're supposed to like step over the buckets, not in them.
Right.
And the very last bucket, I stepped right in it and just kept on going, and nobody stopped me. And they were like, "Nope, that's the take we're gonna use."
Right. They're like, you know what? We ain't got time. We don't have time. This has to get to Carol and edit. In the editing room by 5. Marie, just give it to them.
Yeah. So they could have reframed the shot even in post, and like
they could.
They wouldn't have seen it, but whatever.
So yeah, you guys go through marshmallow muck, and some sticky syrup. And in other news, Alicia gets stuck in the sticky syrup because her character needs all the attention on her. Kind of picked up on this. I know that Alicia's, very nice, very, very caring person, but her character on the show was definitely one that like sought attention.
Yeah, a little bit sassy, almost.
A little sassy, but also like she like, how come she decided to get stuck? Oh, maybe because she's not getting enough attention at the moment. So yeah, she gets stuck, and then you guys help her out, and yeah, it's such a fun little song, and like it gets kids going and all that stuff. So you keep going through your sticky safari, and then Vivian's like, I wonder what else they'll run into.
It's story time.
And bam, right into the story time, just like one after the other after the other. It's so smooth. So the story, it's very original. Queen Sticky, the Spider Queen. And so I guess Vivian is playing Queen Sticky, the Spider Queen, and she, I guess, transforms all of you guys into flies. And she's trying to lure you all into her sticky web to play. And she has sticky buns and all that stuff. And I'm like, stranger danger.
Yep.
And you're, I love your performance in this story time, because you're just like, you were, like I said, you're very authentic in how you perform. Because like, I'm a fly. And you're like, I'm super fly. You can't catch me. And she just, snatches you immediately. And so, Jill and Alicia try and save you, and they get snatched immediately. And so
that's me, damsel in distress.
And so I don't remember what was said, but I was just like, it's your fault that they're in this situation, Brandon. What do you mean?
Yep.
What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? This is your fault. How are you saying, and so you guys are figuring out how to get out of here. And so while you're figuring it out, you pull off some of the cotton balls from your cape, and Alicia's like, cotton balls? And you're just like, no, they're super sticky marshmallow balls.
I do love marshmallow balls.
So you decide to give Queen Sticky some super sticky marshmallow balls, but the way when you stand up, I was like, what is your face? Because you're like, oh, Queen, like the whitest eyes in the world, looking up to the ceiling. You're like,
I believe I was instructed to do that.
Well, then that's, what?
I believe. I could be wrong 20 years ago, but I believe I was instructed. Because it doesn't seem like
something that you do. It doesn't seem like something you would do on your own. I'd be like, I don't know. If I ever get a director or a producer on here, I don't know. I'd be like, what is this? What is this tripe?
If you ever got I would love to hear from the producers and directors' point of view, like their experience with this, because like I'm so curious, because like I only know how it was as a kindergartner on the actor side, right? I could not imagine, like, let me just tell you, like, for me, like, not a big fan of kids. It just doesn't work for me. I can't relate to kids. I can't, like, I just can't. So like, to have like 6 kids doing a TV show where 6 kids and 2 adults, like, as far as actors go, the adults are heavily outnumbered. Like, that's got to be just a nightmare to deal with. Like, it's got to be.
I don't know. I feel like I could have handled. I feel like I could have handled you guys, because I at this moment during quarantine, I got to be in a room of have a class of 12 kids, ranging from kindergarten to 5th grade, and it's like I got to go here. I need my pencil sharpened. I need my computer charged. I need this. I need that.
That sounds like the tutors.
So I'm just like, I got this. I'm just like, I got this. Don't worry about it. Let me just talk to the kid.
You're a special breed, my friend.
I don't know if I was at that age, at the age I am, and you'd be like, your job is to just get these kids and wrangle them and all that stuff. I feel like I could have done it. So yeah, so you give her the super sticky marshmallow balls, and she's eating them, and then she's like all sticky that she, is incapacitated, like sticked up. I don't know how you say it. So then you guys free yourselves, and Vivian takes off her costume, and then she decides, she says, "Oh, it's time to go." And then Tony's the one that takes you guys home, and you guys are sticking to him. You said, "Oh, I'm sticking to your leg," and Jill's sticking here, and Alicia's sticking to your leg, and I was afraid that Tony was gonna fall on top of you because you were like in the middle of everyone. I was like, I could see the expression on your face. You were like
it was probably uncomfortable.
It looked pretty uncomfortable, and I was like, I hope this was one take, because I was afraid that Tony might have like tripped over you or something.
Man, nothing was ever one take on that show.
Oh, I bet not. So yeah, Tony takes you guys home, and Vivian then talks about how much fun you guys had making Miss Sticky Face, and then Tony comes back, and he talks about how you at home can go on your own sticky safari, and all you need is a little imagination and some sticky stuff. He didn't have to say that.
Innuendo!
He didn't have to say that. He did not have to say that. He could have just said, all you need is a little imagination. He could have gone the Reading Rainbow route of just saying, imagination. And that's it.
But
and, nope.
You need sticky stuff.
Nope. That was the point of the show, or the episode. So yeah, so that was Sticky Icky. So who would you say is your standout for this episode besides you?
I mean, you did call attention to how much Alicia seemed to want attention, so I guess Alicia. That's probably fair.
In this episode, I'd say that you were my standout. I don't know, just because it was like, if you weren't doing one thing, you were doing another thing. You were the center of the story with Queen Sticky. You were the I feel like most things happened to you besides Alicia. And Jill just kind of was just in the background. So let's just go and get to our verdict then. So let's go and start with the theme. The theme of sticky textures and all that. I feel with, the trend of slime and goo and all that stuff, I feel like this would definitely still like be something that could keep a kid's attention.
Yeah, I mean, kids are always like messy and, getting stuck to shit and, I mean, you're a teacher, so I'm sure you see it in your classrooms.
Oh yeah, I've seen them sneak.
Blah, blah, blah.
They play with the glue. They put it on their hand and then they peel it off. Or I've seen them sneak slime and it gets on the carpet. It's a nightmare to get it out, but it's possible. But yeah, so the theme holds up. The music then, another thing, it's that I feel still holds up. The dance is fun. Sticky Icky is fun. Sticky Safari, another engaging song. Between the two, I couldn't really pick a favorite because they're both really good. But I guess I'd say Sticky Icky, just because it's not it's not strung like extended as much as Sticky Safari. Sticky Safari kind of like got dragged a little when Alicia decided to get stuck in the syrup. So for me, I'd say the music definitely still holds up.
Yeah.
All right. The arts and crafts, I'd say the collage. The collage, I'd say, doesn't hold up because, I'm an adult now and I go to the store very often and never see sticky paper. So I feel like...
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to Michael's too many times, but I can't recall ever seeing anything ever made with sticky paper after shooting that episode. So
yeah,
I'm entirely sure that holds up. But then again, I'm also not a very arts and crafty kind of guy.
Right. I don't feel like it holds up because you can't find that stuff anywhere. But the sticky capes are definitely something that, anyone can make. It doesn't even have to be felt. It could be like, I don't know, like a garbage bag that you cut a hole out of. And, you stick stuff to. So you know, the Sticky Capes is still it still holds up in terms of the arts and crafts. The story, normally for stories that aren't from like, I don't know, The Ugly Duckling or like Three Little Bears or anything like that, normally I don't say they hold up, but this story, I feel it's like one of the best original stories because, you know, it's made very clear what the story is, the situation. You get a resolution at the end, and it's like it's got enough of a, how would you say, like stakes. For little kids, it's not too scary, but you know they know what the stakes are. They're trying to get they're trying to get away. So I feel like it definitely holds up and keep the kids' attention.
Yeah,
and
I feel like overall, I mean, the episode just kind of like
overall,
like, if I had kids,
5.
I would show it to my kids. Yeah.
Yep. Overall, Sticky Icky holds up. So Brandon, I had such a great time talking with you. And you know, again, congrats on your latest release and your new signing and everything else. Is there any last thoughts that you want to give? Anything coming up?
It was definitely interesting. I seem to remember a little bit more than I thought I might, which I think I told you when you first reached out. I was like, I don't know how useful I'm going to be because I don't remember shit. But I think watching the episode helped jog some of it. Also, I was texting my mom last night and I told her that I was doing this, and she was like, "Oh, remember when this happened?" And I was like, "No, but now I do." Yeah, no, it was cool. It was a nice trip down memory lane. So follow me on all my socials: 10 Steps Official on Instagram, 2DB Official on Instagram, and Brandon Makes Music on Instagram.
Make sure to leave a comment if you like what you hear. Why not subscribe? I am on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and SoundCloud. In the words of Tony and Vivian, so long, farewell, until we meet again.
Stick, stack, stock.